Now, Kitasan Black is simply built different, and on release she changed the game. Her specialty priority is massively higher than any of her competing cards, and the rest of her stats help take advantage of how often she's going to be showing up on training for you. She has high initial friendship to help you get to rainbow training faster, a respectable friendship bonus of 25%, combined with 10% training effectiveness and 1% power gives you a very balanced stat spread. Her event chain is fairly helpful as well. Event 1 gives you a mood up and some stats, which is always welcome. Event 2 gives you two great choices, either energy or a mood up, and some speed and some hints for straightaway adapt, which is a very useful skill. And then finally, her third event gives you the gold skill Professor of Curvature. Pretty much every track in the game has a curve on it, so this is useful on pretty much every track in the game, which just makes her a generically powerful card because she can fit into any deck with relative ease. Skill-wise, she notably gives Corner Recovery and Corner Adept, though Focus and Straightaway Recovery are not unwelcome as well, and if you're running this card on a Frontrunner, she gets even better because you can pick up Dodging Danger and Frontrunner Straightaways off her, and those will be level 3 hints thanks to her hint bonus, so she is very decent for giving any Uma that you might be playing good skills. Looking at her progression through her limit breaks, we see that a massive breakpoint occurs at 3 limit break where she finally starts getting some specialty priority. She's not really worth using before then, unfortunately, because she just doesn't show up on trainings often enough. But once you get to 3LB, she gets access to 60, and then at 4LB, that goes all the way up to 100, just making her show up all the time and fucking insanely stupidly strong. And you can see this graph by Uma Moe puts Kitasan solidly ahead of everyone else, with Sakura Bakshin and Biko Pegasus taking the second and third spots. And from the Euphorist tier list, we can see that the rating is slightly different, with Mai Anno Top Gun beating out Biko Pegasus for third, but still solidly in the lead you have Kitasan Black. And it's always good to get info from multiple sources so that you're not just getting info from one source, because that can lead to you getting bad info. Super Creek debuted with the game and has been a staple stamina card since, so let's get into the reasons why that is. Now, Super Creek might not have Kitasan's insane specialty rate, but she makes up for this by having incredibly strong trainings when she does appear. She has a massive 37.5% friendship bonus, which for you that don't know means that's just a straight multiplier on the amount of stats that you'll get when you rainbow train with her. And she backs this up with a 1 to her base stamina bonus, and then she throws in a 15% training effectiveness on top of that. And so what this basically means is that anytime she's showing up on stamina, all of her bonuses are going towards making that an absolutely massive training. And then the cherry on top, she has a 10% race bonus, which is really nice for just getting some extra skill points throughout the run. Her events are also really nice, with both of her random events giving you energy, or, you can get deep breaths, or you can get some stamina, but most of the time you're going to be taking the energy. And then her event chain as well starts off plus 10 energy, very nice. Chain number 2, 5 stamina, 5 power, not amazing, but the real great bit is when you get to chain event number 3, and that gives you Swinging Maestro, which is basically considered the best recovery skill in the entire game. Almost every track has a corner before the final spurt, and what this means is that this is the most reliable gold recovery skill in the entire game. This is really what just makes her the defining stamina card, because when you're taking a stamina card, you're generally running medium or long, and if you're going to run a medium or long and you're bringing in that stamina card, you want the gold recovery skill to just get your Uma through it nice and efficiently without having to spend loads of skill points and then praying that all of your white recovery skills proc. Now, due to how valuable Swinging Maestro is as a skill, Super Creek is actually very unique in that she's usable at 0 limit break, just simply to take Swinging Maestro. However, like other cards on this list, she really hits her power spike towards the higher limit breaks, and that's going to be when she gets her initial friendship gauge at limit break 3, but really at limit break 4, because the issue with that and starting with 0 initial friendship gauge is you have to train with her a lot before she will actually rainbow, and this really limits your ability to deck build, because if you have multiple cards that have low initial friendship gauge, you are not going to get rainbows very soon, or you're going to have to take inefficient training turns to try and get them to rainbow before certain breakpoints like summer. And really, in terms of stamina cards, the only one that I really feel is worth mentioning isn't a stamina card at all, and that's Riko Kashimoto, the current friend card for the Unity Cup scenario. And this card is very amazing at just giving you wit whilst also letting you get other stats up, and she can be used in place of Super Creek despite not having a gold recovery, just because she's a friend card. Instead, she allows you to train more, and there are other reasons which are a bit beyond the scope of this video. But know that if you don't have a Super Creek and you still need to get high stamina, that is an option for you. And now, let's send our Umas to university, because it is time to talk about Fine Motion, the best wit card in the entire game, supposedly. Let's get into it. So matching Super Creek with an amazing friendship bonus, this is also compounded by, yes, having a wit bonus to get that baseline level up before you start multiplying it. 15% training effectiveness is incredibly respectable. That's just 15% more stats anytime she's landing on training. She's got, some initial friendship gauge. This is probably her weakest aspect, is that it can take a while to rainbow her, but then she doesn't really lack in other ways. She has 10% race bonus, making her incredibly easy to fit into deck building. Her specialty priority is 35, which again is another weak aspect to her. Not terribly weak though, because specialty priority is generally not very high among wit cards anyway, so you're not too concerned about that. But when she does show up on those wit turns, you're gonna get a whole lot of stats real quick. But every card does have an Achilles heel, and if I was to say Fine Motions, it would probably be her event chain. Now, her random events are both fairly respectable. You can get Corner Adept from Reminiscent Clover, and from Wonderful New Shoes, you can just get 10 skill points and some speed. Most of the time, you're not taking the minus energy unless you're in a very good position. But her normal skill chain just is not really that great. Most of the time, you'll be taking the top option, so that's going to be 20 skill points and some wit. Gives her a little bit of bond, then energy and skill points, which would be nice if she did not then immediately take 10 energy from you in her final chain event. So energy neutral is generally not what we like to see on cards. We like cards that give us energy so we can do more training. And the gold skill that she gives is decent for pace chasers, but only for pace chasers, meaning that unlike the other two cards that we've talked about today, she isn't quite as generic in that she doesn't have a gold skill that everybody can use, which is a mark against her, but she is still, incredible for just being a stat stick and just giving you stats. And again, defying the other cards that we've talked about today, she actually has a fairly smooth progression as you MLB her, though there is a nice little bump when you get Mood Effect 15 at LB3. So yeah, if you do have this card, I would say out of all of these, this is the one that you can use at the lowest limit break. You might even be able to get away with using her at limit break 1 if you really want to, because even at limit break 1, she's still better than a lot of other wit cards in the game. So she's very, very nice in that respect. And taking a quick look at the Forest tier list, we can see that she is by far and away the highest rated on that one, and I would consider this one to be fairly accurate for her rating. But let's have a quick look at the other tier list and see how she stacks up on that one. So she's still absolutely dominant on the Umamoe tier list, but as you can see, the position of many of the second, third, and fifth and fourth place wit cards are very different. This is just generally due to how the two sites rate cards slightly differently, with this one valuing just raw stats, which is why you see something like Saiyan Sky so highly rated on this tier list compared to the other one where she was not rated very high because her wit gain isn't very high. So yeah, just in general, very, very strong compared to every card in the game. And so those are the 3 strongest cards in Uma Musume. Now, no king rules forever, so there will be cards in the future that will displace these. I'll show some of those on screen right now that I think are particularly notable, particularly El Condor Pasa, Speed, Agnes Tachyon Speed, and I believe it's Majiro Romano Wit. She's going to be displacing Fine Motion, but none of those cards are out yet, and they're not going to be out for a couple of months. So until that time, these are the big 3 of Uma Musume, the strongest options available. And now we arrive at the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun making it. Right now I'm really focused on trying to grow my channel, so any sort of support that you can throw my way would be much appreciated, because I just want to keep making videos on this game. I love it way too much. And yeah, all the support I had on the Mihono Bourbon guide was absolutely amazing, so thank you very much for that. And until then, see you next time. Bye now.